Part 57. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 562. Before the meal was finished, Sister Qing's phone call came. Jinli, today is not April Fool's Day, Sister Qing almost screamed on the phone, you just gave me such a big surprise. Sister Qing felt that she was going crazy. She didn't know how to describe how she felt. In fact, colleagues in the industry should envy her. After she resigned from Morning Star, she planned to stop doing this business. Anyway, the money I earned in the past few years is enough, and my daughter is getting older, so there is nothing to worry about. It is almost enough to be a quiet old lady, although she is not yet that old. Then Jinli came to her. In all fairness, being Jinli's manager didn't really need to do anything. The artist under her hands seemed to have won all the resources and opportunities by herself. As her manager, she hadn't put in much effort. It's just lying down and winning all the way. But is it easy? No. As much as Jinli was capable, she was as willful as she was. Sister Qing is really tired. Like today. Have you ever seen that young actress announce her relationship so early? No, the point is, which actor have you ever seen announce a relationship without telling the agent in advance? She was about to go to bed after taking a shower, but her daughter, who was still playing with her mobile phone, screamed and ran to her room to find her. Then, she learned the news from Weibo. Asterisk. Jinli listened to Sister Qing with a guilty conscience. Seeing Lu Zhenjia looking at her, she mouthed manager in a low voice. Lu Zhenjia understood. Because of my own affairs. He said, Jinli, can you turn on the speakerphone? Jinli opened it. Sister Qing, right, Lu Zhenjia called out. What Sister Qing was about to say was suppressed so deeply in her throat. Mr. Lu, she asked. Lu Zhenjia, well, it's me. This matter tonight is my own initiative. Don't blame Jinli. Sister Qing. That said, I blame you then? She was still very angry in her heart, and her tone was a bit thorny. Mr. Lu, you are the head of the Lu family. You don't have to care about internet comments, you can ignore everything. But Jinli can't, she is an entertainer. You said it's something you are good at as a matter of opinion, when you tweeted, did you think about the consequences? If Jinli was hacked because of this incident, did you think about how to deal with it? Lu Zhenjia was a little surprised. He said solemnly, I've thought about everything you said, and I promise, I will handle all the problems well. Sister Qing was silent for a moment. After all, she was a stranger. She could teach Jinli severely, but not Lu Zhenjia. After hanging up the phone, Lu Zhenjia said, your manager, let's not mention his abilities, he's a pretty good guy. After knowing it was him, he was still able to question him for Jinli, but not everyone had the courage to do so. Jinli proudly said, of course, I don't care who picked it. No, can she see it? Lu Zhenjia took out his phone and was about to post another Weibo, but found that he couldn't click on it, there was a server error. He was stunned for a moment, what's the situation? Jinli came over to take a look, and understood, of course it's because I'm too popular and the netizens are too excited. The Weibo server couldn't bear it and collapsed. As soon as the words fell, her cell phone rang again. For the next half an hour, Lu Zhenjia just watched Jinli answering the phone. She has no pretensions and is good looking. People who have seen her rarely dislike her unless they are jealous. There are naturally many people in regular contact. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 563. One by one, they called her to ask if it was true, and after getting Jinli's affirmative answer, they started to say congratulations again. In the end, Jinli was so annoyed that she simply posted a post in her circle of friends. The little fairy is real, the boyfriend is real, and the Weibo statement is also real. She really doesn't want to answer the phone anymore. Lu Zhenjie looked at her circle of friends and quietly liked her. I'm going back, Jinli said, putting away her phone. I am full. Jinli nodded, I'm already full. If they hadn't been on the phone, I would have gone back a long time ago. Lu Zhenjie felt a little regretful, but didn't say anything, and got up. Let's go. He took Jinli to her door. Actually, I'd love to kiss you, he said. Jinli took a quick step back when he heard the words, and expressed his rejection with actions. Lu Zhenjie's face was hurt. Are you so against me? You obviously didn't say, you like me. A little bit, Jinli emphasized. Seeing Lu Zhenjie's even more downcast expression, she felt a little embarrassed. I really don't like it, then, if not, we'll each take a step back, you. She couldn't explain clearly, so she simply took a step forward, stood on tiptoe, and kissed Lu Zhenjie's chin. Is this okay? Lu Zhenjie was cured instantly. Can I have one too? He asked with bright eyes. Jinli nodded, then shook her head again. Just don't kiss like before. Good. Lu Zhenjie nodded, and a kiss with the scent of snow pine fell on her forehead. One touch and back. This feeling is not bad. Jinli could feel Lu Zhenjie's cherishing gesture in this kiss. Unlike the previous kiss, Jinli was a little scared when she thought about it. She couldn't see Lu Zhenjie's emotions and heart, but that kiss made her feel that Lu Zhenjie wanted to eat herself. Eat fish. Terrible. Good night, Jinli. Lu Zhenjie looked at her and said softly. Jinli imitated, good night, Lu Zhenjie. Asterisk. Jinli entered the room by stepping on the light that had not been turned off. Lan Ting was sitting on the sofa solemnly, obviously waiting for her. Stay up so late. Lan Ting let out an ah and jumped up from the sofa. How could I possibly be able to sleep? She walked up to Jinli in a few steps and stared at her with piercing eyes. I saw your Weibo post, and I guessed that there must be a lot of people calling you, so I kept holding back and not bothering you. Are you really? Are you with Father Lu? Jinli nodded, yes. Lan Ting screamed again, and asked, who confessed? Ah. How did you confess? Ah. It's so beautiful. Father Lu, I will never diss you again, you are a real man. You are the best. You finally got the little fairy. Jinli. She felt that if she was like this when she met Lan Ting for the first time, the two of them might not have the same fate as they do now. She simply told Lan Ting about the matter. Lan Ting was surprised again. Ju, is it you who confessed? However, it is obvious that Lu's father has been waiting for a long time. Ah, no, I won't be able to sleep tonight. What kind of fairy love is this? Jinli. I don't quite understand the thinking of you humans. What is there to be excited about other people's affairs? She yawned, I'm going to take a shower and go to bed, good night. 4 more. See you later. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 564. Countless people lost sleep because of her excitement on Weibo. Jinli himself, on the other hand, slept soundly. After she woke up, she started packing her luggage. What Lan Ting and others said was that she wanted to participate in a cultural exchange meeting with the Daoist Association on behalf of her. Externally speaking, there is no saying at all. Isn't it normal for the little fairy to not work for a month? Sister Qing has already negotiated with K.D about the endorsement. After Jinli returns from Sun Island, she will sign the contract with the person in charge of K.D in person. She is very busy. So, After a while of excitement on Weibo, netizens and fans discovered that Jinli and Lu Zhenjie disappeared collectively after posting the news that excited countless people. He did not attend any public events, nor responded to questions from netizens and the media. Countless fans left messages under the Weibo of the two: "You have the ability to disclose, you have the ability to come out." Asterisk. However, the two did not agree. Both the Daemon Association and the Divine Supervision Bureau attached great importance to this exchange conference. They kept calling Jinli to make sure there was no problem and asked Jinli to discuss it several times. As for Lu Zhenjie's family, they were pestered by the family. Of course, his sister Lu Jianzhen was happy to see the matter between him and Jinli come to fruition. His two older brothers are not important, their opinions can be ignored directly. The rest is Lu Zhenjie's father. This bad old man obviously doesn't have a very deep understanding of his status at this moment. He has clearly been pulled down from the top of power, but he only remembers his past glory and brilliance in his eyes, and stubbornly deceives himself as if that is the case. He is still the one and only Lu family patriarch. So, now, he is sitting on the throne, maintaining the dignity of a father and head of the family, and reprimanding Lu Zhenjie from above. Don't you take Lu Corporation seriously? If you make such remarks on Weibo and are with an actor, aren't you afraid that Lu Corporation's stock price will plummet because of it? Lu Zhenjie's expression was indifferent. Father, please use your dementia-free brain to think about who brought up the Lu Corporation's current scale. It is I, Lu Corporation, who made the Lu Corporation a huge business empire like it is today. Zhenjie. It depends on my strength, Lu Zhenjie, not on listening to you. Share price? At his level, how could his status be shaken by such things? Lu's has always been just his help, a knife in his hand, and will never be an obstacle to stop him from doing life. In short, I absolutely agree. I have already contacted your Uncle Li, his daughter just came back from studying abroad. Lu Zhenjie suddenly stood up and interrupted his father. Some words, he can take it as giving up and don't take it to heart. But there are some words that he can't bear. I told you last time, Dad. Don't try to interfere with anything I do, especially feelings. Lu Zhenjie looked coldly at Mr. Lu, who was sitting at the top. Do you think that you can still sit here in a high position, be your respected Mr. Lu, and drink tea frequently with the company's shareholders? Based on what? Mr. Lu's expression changed. Are you following me? Lu Zhenjie ignored him, and continued, it's not your past coercion, but my permission. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 565. Such arrogant words made old man Lu's face change suddenly. But Lu Zhenjie didn't want to give him face this time. Is it true that I am too kind, Dad? Does my behavior make you think that I am too easy to talk to? Do you think that the experiences I had when I was a child no longer exist? Do you think that I like my two mediocre elder brothers? Will I become a puppet at your command? Lu Zhenjie smiled lightly. I originally thought it would be good for you to be raised quietly and be an old man who doesn't care about everything, since Dad doesn't want to. Uncle Lin, he raised his voice. Butler Lin came in from the outside. Young master, master. Lu Zhenjie looked at the bright sunshine outside, which was completely different from the dull atmosphere in this room. He said lightly, Dad is not in good health. This old house is too dull and not suitable for health care. I remember that I have a private island in the Pacific Ocean with all the facilities on it. Bring a private doctor and you and Dad will go to recuperate together for a while. Uncle Lin looked up in shock. Young master. His words disappeared under Lu Zhenjie's cold gaze. Mr. Lu's face was already livid with anger. He stood up straight and pointed at Lu Zhenjie with his crutches. You want to put me under house arrest? You bastard! Lu Zhenjie shouted loudly. Uncle Lin. Didn't you understand me? Butler Lin was startled, sighed silently, and walked towards Mr. Lu. Master. Master Lu was stunned. Lin Shan, you. He only spoke half of what he said, because he could see the deep sorrow and helplessness on the face of his right-hand man who had been with him for decades. This kind of sadness and helplessness is something he has been avoiding and refusing to admit. He is old. His time has long passed. Old man Lu lowered his head, and it was the first time he looked at his wrinkled hands seriously. These hands lost their vitality and energy. It's just a pair of old guys' hands in their dying years. Lu Zhenjie turned and left. He stepped out of the door, trampling the dreary air and shadows under his feet. Bathing in the sun. Asterisk. Lu Zhenjie didn't mention what happened to the Lu family to Jin Li. His little fairy, just need to think about some happy things. He spent 2 days arranging the next month's affairs to several confidant executives, and told him not to bother him during this period unless he was undecided about important matters. The subordinates didn't know the news of the exchange meeting, but they knew about Mr. Weibo. After such a long time, my husband must be going on a trip with Miss Jin Li. Etc. It's a month. Such a coincidence of timing. Maybe the two of them have already obtained their certificates secretly, and they just spent their honeymoon, so there's nothing wrong with them. Mr. has always worked very hard, and this time it is rare to have a break. Several subordinates are praising their chests. Don't worry, sir. We will definitely work hard. I will never disturb your honeymoon with Miss Jin Li. Lu Zhenjie had always been at ease about the abilities of these subordinates. So, on a sunny morning, he held his salute and met Jin Li at the door. Jin Li glanced at the suitcase in his hand, and stretched out his hand in disgust. Give it to me. Lu Zhenjie quickly said, I can mention it myself. Just kidding, how can you ask your girlfriend to carry a suitcase? Jin Li rolled his eyes at him, snatched the box over, and a white light flashed in his hand. The box was gone. Lu Zhenjie. 6 more. The Koi fairy wife is sweet as honey. Love from the Koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 566. Even if he understands intellectually, his girlfriend is a little fairy. But seeing this miraculous operation with his own eyes, Lu Zhenjie was still a little dazed. This is. There's a universe in your sleeves, have you heard of it? Jin Li said with a smile. Lu Zhenjie nodded slowly. Very resounding name. Exactly the same as in the legend. So, you took my suitcase, Lu Zhenjie was curious. Well, let's go. The two got into the car and arrived at the location of the Diamond Association. The people here are all assembled. Jin Li saw a lot of acquaintances. Shui Liadao and Qin Jiangzi were leading the team, and Long Hao was also there. Ying Qian and Zhuang Qian were in the team, as well as a few Taoist disciples that Jin Li was familiar with, and some he had never seen before. They were all looking at Jin Li curiously. Shui Liadao glanced at Jin Li, then at Lu Zhenjie critically, and said just now, okay, we're all here, let's go first. Jin Li was still thinking about how to set off when he saw a bus slowly approaching. Jin Li. Lu Zhenjie, who was also curious about how this group of Taoists would travel. So, when you go abroad to participate in exchange conferences, do you take the bus just like elementary school students on a spring outing? He just thought about it in his heart, but Jin Li directly expressed his doubts. It was Long Hao who answered her this time. He said lightly, it is forbidden to use special abilities to fly within the territory of Huaguo. So, get in the car. Lu Zhenjie took a few extra glances at Long Hao. Because they are family members, the two are connected. What are you looking at? Jin Li asked him. Lu Zhenjie said in a low voice, that man in the black windbreaker looks pretty good. Jin Li knew her boyfriend very well now. She smiled and shunned her hair. I don't look as good as you. He must be happy to hear that. Sure enough, upon hearing this, Lu Zhenjie felt relieved, and even lost his thoughts on exploring Long Hao's identity. Heh, in Jinli's heart, a man who was considered uglier than herself didn't need to be a bully. Long Hao. Other people. Everyone in the car was from the Taoist sect, and everyone could hear this kind of seemingly low-pitched conversation. Therefore, many people looked at Long Hao. Long Hao closed his eyes and meditated, unmoved. Several people took the bus for several hours and arrived at the airport. The plane was a special plane, and Jinli didn't like flying very much. He fell asleep as soon as he got on it. Lu Zhenjie let her rely on herself to enjoy the peaceful time she had dreamed of in the past quietly. By the time Jinli woke up, the plane had already reached the territory of Sun Island. Sun Kingdom is located on Sun Island. Jinli was woken up by Lu Zhenjie's call. She rubbed her eyes and looked at the excited faces of the people on the plane. "Are you there?" she asked. Ying Qian has the best relationship with her. Upon hearing this, she replied, "Yes, it's here." Jinli glanced at her. "You seem very happy." Ying Qian nodded, "Of course. Sun country's control over Suanmen is not as strict as ours. Their country's onmyoges are recognized by the country. We are here, so we don't hold ourselves back." Jinli? She hadn't realized what it meant that she didn't have to hold herself back. Until Ying Qian swish, and pulled out an épée wider than her body from the air. "Let's go," she shouted excitedly, jumped onto her épée and floated in the air. Lu Zhenjie. Is this the legendary flying sword? Went out today, 7 more. Tomorrow I will go to my grandpa's house for the Dragon Boat Festival. The update will be in the afternoon or evening, and maybe only 6 chapters will be updated. If there is nothing to do after the Dragon Boat Festival, I will reply to the 8th watch. Good night, ask for a ticket. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 567. While Lu Zhenjie was in a daze, Ying Qian had already turned into a phantom and quickly disappeared in front of everyone. Seeing this, everyone in the Taoist sect sighed, "Junior sister Ying Qian, she really is that windy girl." Then, everyone took out their own skills and left this place. Lu Zhenjie looked at the scene in a daze, and asked in comprehension, "This way, won't it scare people? Don't try to lie to him. It's not like he hasn't been to Sun Island before. Everyone is obviously taking a handjob and taking a taxi honestly." Qing Yangzi, who was watching the boss's movements at any time, happily explained to him, "Mr. Lu doesn't know about this. If we do this, we must have an invisibility spell, and ordinary people can't see it. The so-called lax control of Taoism is only relative to Huaguo." One day, Sun Island stipulated that any Taoist person should not show his strength in front of ordinary people. Thinking about it, even if Sun Island attaches great importance to Taoism, their foundation still occupies the vast majority of ordinary people. No matter for ordinary people of any power, they will always feel uneasy when they see an existence whose power far surpasses them and can easily threaten their personal safety. So everyone has to hide their whereabouts. Lu Zhenjie wanted to ask again, since he still has to bother to hide his whereabouts, why didn't he just take a taxi to the hotel honestly? "Qin Jiangzi, Mr. Lu, you don't understand. Everyone is here to participate in the exchange conference. This is a more elegant way of saying it. To be straightforward, everyone is here to compete. Since it is a competition, then, from stepping on from the moment of going to Sun Island, the invisible battlefield has already begun. Think about it, they are all here to participate in the competition, and the others are all flying from the sky. If we take a taxi, wouldn't that be embarrassing?" "Understood." Lu Zhenjie concluded, "So, we just have to pretend to be aggressive, and we can't be more cowardly than others." Qin Jiangzi gave him a "you are very good" look, that's the reason. After Qin Yangzi finished speaking, he greeted the two of them. "I have already told you the name and address of the hotel, and I will go there first," he said. Without any props, the whole person stood upright from the ground, standing in the void, with the wide sleeves of the Scion Taoist robe fluttering, and the whole person took the wind to return, with a very strong sense of immortality. And that Qin Yangzi who asked the young disciple to go to the bar to be a dancer for money, it seems that he is not alone at all. Lu Zhenjia was a little shocked, but also a little envious looking at Qin Jiangzi's figure. As a man, especially a native of Hua country, who grew up listening to all kinds of ghost stories and watching martial arts novels, he always has a natural yearning for flying. Before Lu Zhenjia had time to express his emotions, he heard Jin Li say, "Then let's go too." Lu Zhenjia was taken aback, and said, "I." He wanted to say that "I don't know anything," so Jin Li reached out to him, "Grab me." Lu Zhenjia. He grabbed Jin Li's hand. Jin Li grabbed him with her backhand and said with a smile, "Close your eyes and let's go." Lu Zhenjia didn't even have time to be shocked. All he felt was a bout of dizziness, perhaps only for a second. Jin Li smiled and whispered in his ear, "It's here." Lu Zhenjia. He opened his eyes and saw himself and Jin Li holding hands, and they were standing on the street lined with tall buildings. There were people coming and going on the side of the road, and many people looked curiously at this pair of exceptionally good-looking couples. The Koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 568. Lu Zhenjia raised his head blankly and looked at the somewhat familiar building in front of him. This is the hotel they settled on? That's the hotel that's almost tens of kilometers away from the airport. He turned his head and looked at Jin Li. "I just passed out, did I? So you can't feel the change of time?" Jin Li looked at him puzzled, then reached out to pat Boss head, and said strangely, "I didn't feel hot, why did I have hallucinations?" Lu Zhenjia. He remembered something, raised his wrist, and looked at the time. Not hallucinations. Did not faint. Really only a few seconds passed. In seconds, he went from the airport to the hotel. Is this Nima the speed of light? Lu Zhenjia felt that he had become more and more irritable and uncivilized recently. The high cold character set is a bit broken. It was such a shock. Jin Li said, "Okay, let's go in first." When the two arrived at the front desk, Mr. Ba's persona, who was proficient in 18 languages, came in handy. He communicated with the front desk staff very smoothly, and the two got their room cards. After entering his room, President Ba began to think about life. But he was destined to be unable to think of anything. At this time, people from the Taoist Association and the Supervision Bureau also came one after another. Shui Liadao called everyone to the room for a meeting. Jin Li was baptized by everyone's eyes. Although everyone seemed a little reserved because they were not all acquaintances, Jin Li still heard their voices. This big guy is so awesome with someone, he's so awesome. Miss Sister is super handsome It can be turned into light and shadow directly, and I don't know how far fellow Daoist Jin Li has reached now. Jin Li felt it roughly, and they were all praising herself for being great. She was very satisfied, and sat down with Lu Zhenjia in a good mood. Shui Liadao looked at Lu Zhenjia, as if he wanted to say something, but in the end he didn't say anything. Several people sat in the room, and soon a waiter from the hotel brought over food and drinks. Jin Li naturally began to reach for something to eat. Lu Zhenjia sat upright, waiting for Shui Liadao to say something. Since it is a meeting before the game, it must be some pre-match mobilization, or analyze the characteristics of a wave of enemies, formulate our strategy, and so on. However, after waiting for a while, he found that this group of Suanman people were either focusing on eating with Jin Li, or being aloof / putting on airs like Long Hao and Shui Liadao with their eyes closed. There were still some left, and they had even taken out their phones. Start the liver game. Overlord. So you called us to come to a meeting. What kind of meeting is it? Tea party? He had some doubts in his heart, and he didn't know how to start asking. Jinli still remembered her boyfriend, so she paid special attention to him. The food in this hotel is pretty good, don't you want to eat? Lu Zhenjie, eat? He stretched out his hand for a glass of drink, and after drinking half of the glass in one sip, he finally couldn't hold back. Deist Shui, you said, everyone is here to have a meeting. I don't know, what are you going to talk about? Analyze the enemy or formulate a plan. Old Shui said. He seemed shocked, and then looked at Lu Zhenjie dissatisfied. Young man, what are you talking about? We fight, rush up and do it, and we're done. What else do we need to analyze? The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 569. Lu Zhenjie. He was more shocked than Shui Leadao, and more at a loss. That's it, is it that simple? Old Shui said straightforwardly, otherwise. Lu Zhenjie didn't understand. He looked at another person, Long Hao, who was sitting on the chair with a straight posture. He felt that Long Hao seemed to be a very smart man, so he should be able to communicate better. Just take a closer look, huh? Look familiar? Very familiar. Absolutely. Lu Zhenjie was lost in memory, and left the tea party, but it was the pre-match meeting behind him. Then the boss recalled. Isn't he the man who hugged Jinli on the subway? The instinct of a male creature makes him alert. Like a male lion whose territory has been offended, he sized Long Hao up and down with vigilant and critical eyes. Humph, not as good looking as myself. Moreover, Jinli himself said that he was not as good looking as herself. Forget it, don't bother with him. Although he didn't know what President Ba was thinking in his heart, Long Hao who had all his gazes in his eyes. Obviously at the beginning, it was quite normal, as if it was about to talk about serious things. Why has it become so silly now? He closed his eyes again, too lazy to look at him again. Lu Zhenjie. Shui Leadao suddenly opened his eyes. Here we come. The other people who were doing their own things also put down what they were doing, and their expressions became serious, except for Jinli and Lu Zhenjie, who were completely clueless. Lu Zhenjie was a little nervous, but also a little excited. He thought in his heart, this is a bit like before the competition, so is it all warm up before? What does the old Taoist mean by saying that he is here? Who is coming? Is it someone big? He waited for someone to knock on the door. But no. Shui Leadao stood up suddenly and walked towards the French windows. This hotel room has excellent lighting, the entire wall is composed of floor-to-ceiling windows, and the view is very wide. Following Shui Leadao's movements, the others got up and walked over there. Although Lu Zhenjie was at a loss, he also kept a very calm face, and stood by the window with everyone. Then, he finally understood what it means to come. On the street, a group of people suddenly appeared. They wore gothic black cloaks, with brown curly hair hanging down. They were slender and slim, holding a black wooden staff in one hand and a transparent crystal ball in the other. The appearance of this group of people obviously attracted the attention of the people on the side of the road. However, no one panicked. No one even thought it was strange that they had suddenly appeared for a brief ecstasy. People kept taking pictures of them, or standing on the side of the road watching them discuss, and those who were bolder even rushed up to ask for a group photo. Of course, they were rejected by the ruthless witches. This refusal can't make people dissatisfied. After all, these people look like a group of cruel sisters. Someone around him began to popularize science. These are castle witches from the eastern continent, the grizzly bear country, and they are all ruthless characters. Lu Zhenjie asked strangely, do people in Sun Island have such a high acceptance rate? This kind of attire that looks very abnormal at first glance, they all think it's okay. Ying Qian said, Mr. Lu, didn't you see the date we specially picked? It's Sun Island's annual World Comic Exhibition. These witches are already dressed in a very standard way, okay. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 570. She added, however, these castle witches have always been rigid and cold. It is absolutely impossible to expect them to innovate. Lu Zhenjia. Ying Qian continued to beep, however, this kind of uniform looks really cool and handsome. Senior Xue Dao Kang, why don't we want to fight this? Xue Liadao looked at it seriously, and nodded, Ying Qian, what you said is very reasonable. As for the arrangement, I will send people to start making uniforms urgently, and try to send them here before the competition. Lu Zhenjia. Isn't this the legendary battle uniform? But, is it so casual? Have you considered the form of your clothes? What about patterns? What about the pattern? Nothing, just arranged. He was beeping in his heart, but Xue Liadao looked back at him and snorted coldly, young man, although you look very serious and honest, I know you are scolding me in your heart. Lu Zhenjia. Does he look like someone who has been frightened? Boss Ba chuckled in his heart, put on a more glamorous and noble fan than Xue Liadao, and said lightly, the Taoist is thinking too much. Everyone glanced at the irascible old brother Xue Liadao, and then at the high-altitude flower Mr. Lu Ba, and felt that the latter's appearance and aura were more convincing, indicating that Mr. Xue may really be thinking too much. Old Xue said. He was even more irritable. Only Jinli glanced at Lu Zhenjia. Although she couldn't see through Lu Zhenjia's thoughts, she could see Xue Liadao's thoughts. How could this single-minded and irritable old man have such a sinister IQ? Asterisk. Following the appearance of the castle witch in the Grizzly Kingdom, it seemed that a special switch had been turned on, and people began to arrive at the hotel one after another. The second wave of people is the blood race. At first, what Lu Zhenjia saw was a group of birds that could not be seen flying from the sky. It wasn't until he got close that he realized that they were bats. When they got close, the bats turned into human forms one after another. Compared with the castle witches, these blood races are much more sloppy. Medieval-style robes, how complicated and gorgeous, everyone is biting a rose in the corner of the mouth, fair complexion, melancholy temperament, plus the basic configuration of the whole family are handsome men and beautiful women. Almost as soon as this group of people appeared, it caused a big wave scream. They also treat ordinary people very coquettishly. Seeing that their appearance has aroused the crowd, they seem to be extremely proud, and they hold the roses they are biting in their mouths, and gently wave them. The rain of roses fell from the sky, romantic and beautiful. The blood race entered the hotel with countless screams and the scent of flowers all over the floor. Looking at this scene, Lu Zhenjia quickly looked sideways at Jinli, and sure enough, he saw his girlfriend's expression of interest. He felt a sense of crisis in his heart, and felt that he had learned something. Sure enough, good looks are not enough, you have to learn how to show off, well, it's to show your charm. He said with emotion, the blood race is indeed a pretentious and showy race. As soon as the words came out, everyone looked at him. Lu Zhenjia was puzzled, why, is there something wrong with what I said? Ying Qian was young and had a lively personality, so she explained to him for everyone, no problem, the blood race really likes to put on airs and show off, but when it comes to pretending to be aggressive, they are not the most powerful. Lu Zhenjia. Is there anything more excessive? Ying Qian just wanted to say something, her expression changed, and she said with a smile, look for yourself. 4 more. See you later. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 571. What are you looking at? Lu Zhenjie was a little surprised. Watch him quickly know what to look at. Suddenly it snowed in the sky. No, that's not snow, that's a piece of pure white petals. People coming and going on the street stopped, looking at the scene in amazement. Smell good. It's also beautiful. They asked each other curiously, but they didn't see a flower scattering machine in the sky. Where did these flowers come from? A melodious singing sound suddenly came out. I can't tell what language it is, it seems to be just chanting. The singing is extremely graceful, as if the warmest and flawless sunlight in the morning falls on the person's body warmly and extremely comfortable. Lu Zhenjie frowned. He also felt this way at first, but he soon woke up. Listening to the song again, I just feel that it is purely pleasant, without the shocking feeling before. Soon, on the other side of the road, several silver carriages pulled by pure and flawless white horses slowly drove over. Carriage. Does such a thing still exist? Not to mention, the shape and complexity of this carriage is more practical than an antique collected in a museum. The carriage stopped at the intersection. Everyone looked curiously. What kind of cozer is this? Even if this kind of carriage is rented, it is no cheaper than any top luxury car. Is this too willing to spend money? The carriage curtain was pulled open by a hand with silver gloves, and figures stepped out of it. The white petals in the sky are still falling, but at this moment, no one cares about them. Everyone is looking at these people. Where they walked, it seemed that a silent magic had been performed. Everyone held their breath and looked at them in shock. It was a group of people in white robes. Their holy white robes are embroidered with silver patterns, and the brilliance flows while walking, and the whole body has a soft light. The singing came from the mouths of this group of people. The two people in the lead held delicate glazed street lamps in their hands, their eyes were slightly lowered, their long blonde hair fell to their ankles, and blue forehead ornaments hung from their foreheads, but they were not as dazzling as their clear blue eyes. White robe, soft light, blonde hair, blue eyes, as beautiful as an angel. Ying Qian made a conclusion: the group of gods in the Temple of Light are among the Taoists in the world who have the highest requirements for the appearance of the disciples. I doubt that they have so many followers in this world. This is the number one male model group in the Suanman world. Jin Li was puzzled. What is the number one male model group in the Taoist world? Ying Qian pointed to a group of people heading towards the hotel. These people in Guangming Temple are all tall and long-legged, extremely beautiful, and have a halo of holiness. When they appear on the stage, they are as neat as a copy and paste. They are not male models, but what? She muttered to herself again, but the complaints are the complaints. Every time I talk about pretending to be aggressive, I really haven't seen them lose. Jin Li. The corners of Lu Zhenjie's mouth also twitched, and he felt that Yingqian's mouth was very poisonous, but after thinking about it carefully, and looking down, he felt that it really looked like that. I don't know, does this mysterious and powerful Temple of Light know its reputation? But, he asked a little strangely, such a big battle, will it really not arouse the suspicion of ordinary people? Like the castle which before, fortunately, there is nothing special about it. But the battle of this Guangming Temple is obviously beyond the scope of what ordinary people can do, right?